All right, we got to talk about this car that I've been testing for the past 2 weeks now, because there's two huge things about it that are really, really cool. First of all, what car is it? This thing right here is the Hyundai IONIQ 5N. If you remember when Rivian announced the R3 and like the R3X, or it was this like sporty little fast hatch and everyone looked at it and said, oh yeah, I want that. That looks sick. I think maybe consider that this exists now and this has to walk for things like Rivian R3 and R3X to run, but also it's available to buy and it's a pretty sick, quick, performance and driver enthusiast focused EV. And it also has this weird trick where it imitates, behaves exactly like a gas car. I'll get to that in a second. You'll see what I mean. So you may remember the IONIQ 5, and that was already a pretty good looking crossover, like hatchback type of thing. This 5N looks sick. And obviously you have this paint as well. So it's this black on blue color scheme. This is like a satin look, and this matte black Hyundai logo. Whatever Hyundai is doing with the design, keep it up, please. It's looking sick. And this is, of course, an even sportier, slightly more aggressive driver-focused version. So you have the look that represents that. You have the N badge, you have this little orange trim, and that orange trim goes all the way around the whole vehicle. I am loving the styling on this car. You've got P0s on all four tires. You've got these big wheels. I think the rims look pretty good. Not a lot of great looking EV rims out there, but this doesn't get the best range, so I guess that's also not a shocker. There's the back angle, little fastback look, more orange accents. I'm loving it. I mean, this is great style, great looks. IONIQ 5, recognizable, and you've got the N thing happening everywhere. All right, so no complaints on the outside, no notes. Now I could get inside and show you all the practicality stuff, which I guess some people may want to see. If you're gonna get a four-door, you want to make sure you have decent sized back seats. So behind these bucket seats, you get this nice little N, cool. There's a slightly redesigned center console that I'll get to when I get to the front seat, but it's a decent sized back seat. No sunroof, I'm not mad, but you're not getting the N for the practicality. You're getting it for the fun. And this car has a lot of fun. So I'm just gonna get right to the driver's seat and just get to the fun stuff, because that's what we want to hear about. So performance. You remember EV6 GT, how it was a faster, quicker version of the EV6. Same thing here with the N. So the IONIQ 5N is 640 horsepower. This thing goes 0 to 60 in like 2.9 seconds roughly, and does a quarter mile in the low 11s at 123 miles an hour, 11.1 seconds. But also like EV6 GT, you sacrifice range pretty dramatically. So look at that. That's my 30% battery remaining is 60 miles of range. So realistically, 200 mile range on this car. Not gonna be great for road trips, not the fastest charging car either, about an 85 kilowatt hour battery. But what they're doing here is they're making a driver-focused performance enthusiast car. And so you have all sorts of other things that come with that, from stiffer suspension to the point where it actually kind of makes ride quality a bit too harsh on regular streets. But you have the stiffer suspension, you have much better handling, and this thing might be, I think, top 5 best EVs at disguising their weight. I've talked about this before. I have Porsche Taycan in there, I have Rimac Nevera in there, and I've got this car in there too. And then when you look around the cabin, you've got just a couple of those extra flares for the 5N versus the regular IONIQ 5. Obviously, big N logo, and we'll talk about those N buttons in a second. Big boost button, drive modes to switch here between sport, eco, and normal. But also, yeah, this redesigned center console I mentioned. So you've got a phone charger up here, and thankfully, wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto now. So that's great to see. You also can plug it in if you want, all your HVAC controls, which are still some capacitive buttons and some physical buttons mixed in. You've got your start-stop button hidden behind there. These deployable cup holders and a little extra storage up there. And these are also some new seats. So the N has, like I said, these bucket seats with the N. They're pretty comfortable though. They are also manual. You don't get to move them on any sort of rails with a motor. You just have manual bucket seats, because that's the performance thing, saving weight. Got to get it under 5,000 pounds. So here's what I'll say about driving this car. Two things, right? First of all, it is really fun to drive and handles great and is fun to corner and accelerate out. It's got all kinds of zip and torque. Super, super fun. And obviously, you know, it looks this good from the outside, so it's just kind of a fun piece. But second of all, and this is what I mentioned at the beginning, this car has a feature or a mode where it literally imitates a gas car. I don't know how else to explain it to you other than just showing you, right? So you've got these modes, like I mentioned before, which are just sport, normal, or eco. But you also have N mode. And if you hit that left button here, switch to N mode, you can see this whole UI lights up on this screen here. There are technically two screens, but this center screen got your speedometer up here. You've got your level of regen, which is adjustable via these paddle shifters. And you've got your live motor temperature, battery temperature, tire pressures, things like that. That's already N mode. That's your most performance-oriented driving mode. And then if I go to N mode settings up here, there's a whole ton more. Honestly, probably too many to regularly dive into and mess with. Like N pedal will give you even stronger regen, but only really for racetracks, because that would be too strong of liftoff regen for regular roads. You've got N race, you've got drift optimizer. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you could turn on and mess with in here. There's a ton of it, and even more over here. But then you can press this button right here. And I'm just gonna shut up so you can hear what happens. So, okay, now this is a tachometer with a 7750 RPM red line. And if I just hit that accelerator, you are now in the gas car mode. It acts like a gas car in every way. So it's going to sound like a gas car. It's going to shift gears like a gas car. It's going to emulate a dual clutch transmission. And I think they said it's like an Elantra N or something like that it's aiming to feel like. It's hilarious. It's actually shocking how well it works. When I first started playing with it, I had all these questions about, okay, how far will it actually go to imitate the feeling of an enthusiast gas car? And the answer is farther than you probably think. So I'm gonna go over here to performance options, and you can actually tell it what level of road grip you have. And again, there's a ton of settings in here, but N active sound is what lets you pick the style of sound that you get. So this has been the ignition sound that you're hearing. A little bit of pops and burbles, which is hilarious. There is a speaker behind my head in the back corner of the car where an exhaust would come from, and that's most of where I'm hearing the sound. And there's also an external speaker outside the car so other people can hear the sound. Maybe a little embarrassing, but you can turn that off. But then the other two sounds sound a little different. This is evolution. A little more spaceshipy, I guess. And then the other one is called supersonic. So I prefer ignition. It sounds like a regular gas car, which is already a funny thing to say. Couple questions, right? Can you shift gears? Yes. These paddle shifters, as you're driving in this N mode, turn into actual gear shifters. Question number 2, can you redline it? Yes. And not only does it sound like you're bouncing off the red line, you actually stop accelerating. You have to shift gears to continue to accelerate. You actually have this like built-in torque increasing as you go higher in RPMs, kind of like a gas engine would be. So I think a lot of people are very used to an EV having this strong linear acceleration and linear torque curve just because it's just gonna pull straight through one gear all the way to the max speed. Not this one. I mean, in regular mode, this one drives just like that, but this one will actually surge forward and act like that dual clutch transmission, shift through gears and build up torque at higher RPMs, which is crazy. So you can play with it kind of just like a gas car. And then lastly, is it actually slower in this mode than it is in just a regular electric mode? And the answer is yes. If you bang off the gears with bad timing, you can feel the shift, you can feel yourself slowing down a little bit, and that's because the software has added in that delay and added in that shift feel. It's literally cutting torque to the electric motor to feel like shifting gears, which is slowing you down but feeling more exciting. All of that is in the name of a performance, driver-focused EV. This boost button does give you extra horsepower in 10-second bursts, which is pretty sick. Of course, you can't activate it all the time, but when you do, you can feel it. There's a launch control. There's all sorts of track modes. I mean, this car is fun, bro. I gotta say, this is a very fun car. So look, I'm a fan of a car like this existing. I know it's not for everyone. It's probably not even for me, but I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. Like, who would this type of car be for? Well, number one, I think IONIQ 5 is already very popular for a reason. It's good, it's well-rounded, it's pretty good looking too. And I think this one's gonna hit a little more of a performance crowd who likes this aesthetic and this sort of a futuristic feel if you're an EV enthusiast. And they have put together a compelling package for $69,000. Nice. I think I would say for most people, a Model 3 Performance is going to be available as a pretty baseline, more well-rounded, better range, also very exciting to just drive around on the street type of car. But if you were thinking about something like R3 or R3X, if you want that speedy hatch type thing, even though the range is trash, and I'm telling you and you know it's trash, you could still look at one of these. Just don't try to do any crazy road trips in it. Cool. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.